Welcome to another Chef Knives to Go Quick Look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have this time is the Harukaze Ginsan or G3, or sometimes it's known as Silver 3 or Ginsanko, different names for the steel. Nashiji Santoku 165mm knife. And so, as mentioned, this core steel is known as Silver 3, so it's known as Ginsan or Ginsanko or G3. There's a few different names for it, but it's a great fine grain conventional stainless steel that's super easy to sharpen, takes an awesome edge, and is just a great choice for kitchen cutlery. So it's one of the nicest conventional full stainless steels you can use in knife construction. So it's great steel. The construction on these, or the steel, is usually taken around 62 Rockwell, so it has a nice edge retention as well. These have one of the more interesting finishes I've seen in a long time, and as you know, I've seen a lot of knives. So it's a soft stainless cladding on either side of that hard core steel, and we'll get some close-ups of this, but they've got a really interesting pattern on it. And also the spine, where the hammering has been done, the spine has some variations in it as well. It's not totally smooth across. It's got bumps in it. It's very, very interesting. It's quite unusual. So dimensions and weights are going to vary a little bit from knife to knife. This particular one is 4.2 ounces, or 119 grams. The edge length is right about 6.5 inches, or 167 millimeters. Overall length about 12.1 inches, a little over 300 millimeters or so. And these are fairly thin blades. I measured about 2.1 millimeter thickness of the spine, pretty much around the whole length of it. You don't have a lot of distal taper or thinness reduction as you go down towards the end until you get to that grind. And the grind's fairly generous, and you can see we thin out. If I get really close here, we thin out as we get towards the tip. So it's not a ghostly fine tip, but it is pretty fine, and it should perform quite nicely. The edge gets fairly thin as well, and the grind has a nice kind of gentle transition between the flats and the blade grinding down towards the edge. So it's not a hard shoulder, but it's just kind of a smooth transition down that. So this makes that knife a good all-around performer. This texture on the cladding should give you a nice food release as well. The blade height on these will vary a little bit, but this one's 47 inches. I'm sorry, 47 millimeters. That would be pretty tall. 47 millimeters at the back. You've got lots and lots of clearance for your fingers. The handle is just basic, very lightweight oval hoe wood or magnolia wood with a black packerwood ferrule. Really good finish on this. It's very smooth all the way down. Nothing to complain about on fit and finish. They've got a nice tight glue up or seal job where the tang goes into the handle, and the handle's very light. 75 millimeters, or around 3 inches, is what I got on circumference where the two materials meet. The balance point comes back a little forward since it's a smaller blade with the help of that light handle. So from a pinch grip point of view, that's pretty close to a pinch grip for me. Maybe just a touch behind, but it still gives you a very neutral feel on the balance point on this. And it's a very light knife, as you can see. It's got a fair amount of thickness to it that kind of flows down, so it's really quite stiff, even though it's not super thick coming out of the handle. You have, let's get our beauty shot first. Again, this is a very interesting blade. So you've got kind of a Nashiji hammer kind of combo finish with a lot of texture to it. Everyone's going to be quite a bit different. You've got hand engraved or chiseled kanji, very nice touch. Kind of a sandblasted type finish on the grind, and then here's your core steel, and then there's your edge. And you can see the edge bevel fairly aggressive on the angle on that. So this is the left side of the blade. You've got some embossed, I think these are embossed kanji on that side. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell, but I think it's embossed. It's kind of cool. If you do it right, it kind of dances. I don't know if you can see that, but in person it even does it more, but it kind of dances around on that finish. So that's a pretty cool effect. You can impress your friends and neighbors with that. So very nice aesthetics on these. Again, they're not shy with the edge bevel angle on these. So let's take a look at, let's see what else. We've got the spine. Let's talk about that. So the spine actually has kind of bumps and valleys in it just a little bit. and you can kind of see that and you can feel it. So it's a very interesting effect. It is relieved a little bit on the corners, and they've done a pretty nice job polishing the choil, the back of the blade here, into the neck, so it's smooth and it's relieved on both sides, so very comfortable. Out of the box edge, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's a pretty solid out of the box edge on these. And let's take a look at it on the cutting board. So, as is typical of Santokus, most of them you got the kind of sheep's foot point, so the point is quite low in relation to the knife center line. So you're not going to rock this super heavy, but you got a little bit of belly towards the tip, and I can get in there before I start digging the tip in. So it's really not going to rock a huge amount, but definitely shorter stuff you could do. You've got a little bit of a flattish area in the middle, and then a little bit of back belly towards the back. So not a big flat spot, but definitely pretty usable profile. I could do a little bit of chopping in this section, and definitely glide cuts, push-pull cuts. This will do point draw, tip draw cuts really nicely. So it's really quite usable all-around profile. So it's just a very, very interesting knife. Great steel, all stainless. It's a cool package. So something to look at. This is the Harukaze Ginsan or G3 Nashiji Santoku 165mm knife.